Eli, welcome to your video breakdown, my friend. I'm super stoked to create this for you. In this video, I'm going to give you one adjustment to making your surfing that is going to help you progress super fast. If you dedicate the time to dialing in this on land and then in the water, you're going to be surfing faster, smoother, and with much more control, and your surfing potential is just going to skyrocket. So let's get right into it. So after looking at your clips, one thing that I really love about your surfing is shown in this video here, and let's go ahead and watch it. You have not been surfing very long, man, but you are charging. You're catching big bombs at La Punta, taking big waves, and I love that. Just looking fearless out there. And so major kudos to you for catching bombs out there in Mexico. Really love to see it. And so with that being said, let's talk about how we can improve. So take a look at this clip here. You drop into this wave, and I'm going to pause the frame right there. If we take a look at your knees, we see that they're a bit splayed out. You got this left knee bent this way, and your right knee bent the other way as you start to compress and bend your knees. And in most sports, this is a great stance. You know, it's solid, it's firm, it's balanced. But in surfing, we need to adjust our stance a little bit more to have complete control of our surfboard. And so what happens is when your knees are bent out like this, when you actually go to bend down and you bend your knees, your weight ends up being over this outside rail of the surfboard. Like if you think about bending down, all of the weight of your butt starts going down over the outside rail of your surfboard, this left rail. And so what that does is it causes us to lose control over the other parts of our surfboard. Like when you want to do this bottom turn here, we really need to be engaging the right rail of your surfboard so that we can put that rail in the water and start turning up the face. But when we bend down, when we compress and our weight's over this rail, it makes it really hard to actually engage the other rail and make that turn. And so what I'm seeing here is you really want to make that turn. You want to come up the face, and you're trying to completely use this tail to make that turn here. And the thing about surfing completely on the tail is that it just slows us down. It's kind of like hitting the brakes. We really want to be not only engaging the tail, but also engaging this outside rail when we go to do that bottom turn. And so the number one thing that you can work on in your surfing is just adopting a functional surf stance. And this is going to cause a lot of positive changes in your surfing that I'll go over with you shortly here. So how do we get into a functional surf stance? I filmed a little video here, and I first made an example of the incorrect surf stance. And so we'll take a look at it here. So if we look at my stance here, this knee splayed out a little bit, this knee splayed out, and when I go to drop down, my butt ends up over that outside rail of the surfboard, putting all my weight back there, and it makes it really hard to actually engage this rail of the board. And so what we want to do is fix this by focusing on two things. You're going to focus on your back arm and your back knee, more importantly. So if you see this stance, what we want to do is start bending our back knee forward. We see this knee is still bent in the same direction, but now we want that back knee going in the same direction. And this can be a lot of pressure on the back knee to actually get it in that position, unless you have great knee flexibility. And so a tip to be able to bend that knee forward with less pressure on it is to take this foot and take it not perpendicular to the board, but just put at an angle where your toes are a bit more pointed toward the nose instead of perpendicular to the stringer. And so what this does when you open up your foot here is it starts to rotate these hips so that your hips are more pointed forward, which allows that back knee to bend forward more naturally with less pressure. And so focusing on having this back knee bent forward is going to be a major key. Second thing that you want to focus on in adopting this stance is this arm. You want this arm to be pointed forward. One thing that's really great to adopt just as you progress in your surfing is to keep your arms over your surfboard rails. So instead of, for example, having this arm back over here and this arm here, that's kind of putting both of our arms toward that heel side rail of the board. But if we rotate this arm forward, that arm then sits over that front rail, and we can have this arm more over the back rail, which just gives us a lot more control over our board. It points our chest forward, allowing us to kind of put more weight on this front foot, which is going to allow us to surf with a lot more speed. And so those are the two things to practice this stance, is to get that back knee bent forward, get this arm pointed forward to get the chest rotated forward. And if you can practice the pop-up in this form over and over and over again, it's going to, you're going to get the muscle memory. It's going to start getting dialed in to your muscles. And when you get out in the water and you pop up on your surfboard, it's going to feel much more natural. You can also practice this stance on a surf skate. If you have a surf skate, get on the skateboard and start moving around. Put that back knee forward, bring that back arm forward, and really see what it feels like to ride around in that stance. And so I want to bring up a clip here of John just to show the proper surf stance from a pro here. So if we watch him pop up, we see his back knee bent forward, his right arm is forward so that his chest is pointed forward, his hips are forward, everything's forward. As opposed to the stance that you're currently adopting where everything's kind of squared up and pointed like toward the wave, we want everything pointed forward down the line. If we can align our upper body, our hips, and our knees all pointed this way, we're going to be projecting ourselves down the line much faster, much smoother, and we'll also have a lot more control over our surfboard. So if we think about your current stance and having your butt kind of sitting over this rail here, it makes it really hard to access the other parts of the surfboard, because as soon as we bend our knees and bend down, all of our weight's over this side. But when we get our back knee forward and we get this arm pointed forward, all our weight's centralized on that surfboard, which means when we want to engage that inside rail and do a pump like he does here, all we got to do is get on our toes a little bit. Or if we want to come back down the wave, all we got to do is get on our heels a little bit. We're operating from like a neutral stance to where we have control over anywhere we want to go on the board. And just want to also point out this frame here. Look at that. Look at this back knee here. Completely tweaked. Look at this arm. Completely driving forward. And so this is like the extreme version of the surf stance where he wants to really get down the line with maximum speed. And you can even see his foot here. Look, his foot is not perpendicular to the stringer. It's a little bit open, which just allows for that back knee to really tweak and come forward pretty aggressively there. And so that's what I got for you, my friend, adopting the functional surf stance. Practice this on land, do the pop-up, get into that functional surf stance, then take it to a surf skate if you have it. Practice flowing and moving around on the surf skate with that back knee forward, that back arm forward. And then when you go to drop in on the bombs, man, your weight's going to be forward on that drop, which means it's going to be much easier rather than, popping up and having all your weight on this rail here. So going to completely change your surfing, my friend. Let me know how it goes for you, and I hope you found this video helpful. Cheers.